unfortunately, I had to be a little bit late for live streams. So, unfortunately, I had to postpone. I think you guys will understand that I'm super busy. So, yeah, kind of had to postpone things a little bit. I'll tell you why exactly in just a bit. But I'm trying to get settled in here. It's getting cold, guys. Um, Here in California, things are getting really, really cold because we are reaching. I mean, we are in wintertime already. We've been in wintertime. I would think. I believe that winter is from November to January. I mean, I kind of want to believe that. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's from December to February, but that didn't really make any sense. My dog is here, so you just heard him choke. Pugs choke a lot, okay? They choke on a lot of things, and hairballs are always a big pain in the butt for them. So, understand that they are that's just the way they are. I feel like I look like I've gained weight. I actually haven't though. I think I actually lost weight. Actually, it's kind of funny, you know. I feel like I gain weight, but then I lose weight, and when I feel like I lost weight, I gain weight. It's weird, but yeah. Turns out that I actually lost some weight. I think I was nearing 118 pounds. I've never been over 120, which is funny. Maybe when I was younger, because when I was younger, I used to be a lot more pudgy to the point where you can actually see it in my face. You can see it in my body too. But I've never actually been over 120 for the last, like, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years. I've kind of always been, I sized down after a bit because, for one, I proportioned, I grew taller, but also I started doing like aerobics, and when I went to school, I did PE, so PE didn't change much, I would believe, because I was basically the same, but it does, just because my metabolism is kind of quite fast when you're a kid. It's good. But yeah, it's cold here though, and my face looks bigger, so I don't know what's going on, but it does. You know, if I feel my face, so you can feel that there's bones here, but for sure, and you know, there's not much fat, but I think it's just my face shape, guys. I mean, I would really like it if my face was like narrow, like this, but it's not. That's just the way it is, though. But yes, today I am cold. Okay, it's I don't have a cold. I'm not sick, but it is winter time, and it's been quite hot this year. Like, ever since September, I would have expected, oh, things are gonna cool down, but no, it's been really hot in California up until very recently. I would say a week or two ago, things changed. The weather changed. A lot more rain. If you guys live in California, you would know it. It's been raining. It's been pouring ever since like Friday, and it's quite crazy because we never get rain around here. It's like it's a drought, right? So all of a sudden, we get rain. So that's pretty nice, I guess. Good for the environment. For me, I get to walk around in puddles at school. So, you know, it's not the nicest thing. You know, I would rather be able to, you know, go out to restaurants with my family, but now we eat in. We could have actually went out to a restaurant, but we would have to bring an umbrella, and I hate just the feeling of being like just wet, like damp. Like, whenever my clothes are not dry, or myself is not dry, I don't like it. Like, I would much rather not have to take showers because I'm always wet, and I hate it whenever. Well, two things what I hate about showers is, one is that when I get out of the shower and I put on my clothes, I make sure I dry myself a lot before, so my whole body is dry before I put on my clothes. Otherwise, it looks like it's all wet on my shoulders and, like, especially my back. Number two, I hate it when the bathroom looks so steamy, especially when it's not you. Like, when someone went to the bathroom first and showered, and you go into the bathroom, it's all steamy. You literally feel how humid it is, and you're like, oh my, why is it so moist in here? It's so weird. I don't like it. So what I do is I turn on the little air vent, and then, you know, the air escapes. Or you open the door to the bathroom, and if the bathroom is connected to it like a guest room, then you can let the air escape. So there are ways to prevent it, but if it's just like a small bathroom, you can't really do that. So it's kind of hard. But yeah, that's just me though. I bet you guys are totally fine with being. All you swimmers out there, you guys probably love it. Or going to the beach. I hate the beach. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys right now. I do like the sand. I don't. I do like, you know, hanging out with my family at the beach, but the water, no, not so much. I do like fish though. Have you ever like seen a fish at the beach. It's pretty awesome. I'm such a nerd. Anyway, okay, so I was gonna say something at the very start. Was it about the weather? I think, yeah. Oh, I postponed the live stream. I'm sorry, guys. I was supposed to do it on Friday. Originally, I meant to do it on Friday, but then I got caught up with doing a live stream with my brother. And then on Saturday, I had church. I didn't think I was gonna have church, but apparently I messed up the dates, and I'm always so confused about when I don't have it. There are certain weeks of the month that you don't have church, so just so happened to this week was not that week. Okay, so yeah. Oh, thank you for subscribing. I think Lucky Girl. I think that's the username. Thank you. Oh, I shaved. Also, nice. I look like a baby again. I shaved actually a month ago, but then that was like, you know, it was quite a while ago. I like having a mustache, honestly. It's not even a mustache. It's like a very faint outline of a mustache. A bootlegged mimic of a mustache. It doesn't look good though. It, in a way, it looks good for me sometimes, but also sometimes I hate it because when I'm recording and whenever I edit my videos, I realize that there's something always about my face I don't like. Whether my face is too pudgy, my hair is wrong, I have a mustache, so you know. But I'm very picky about my videos anyway. All right, I think I've covered everything I want to talk about. Oh, Christmas! Christmas is coming up, so I'm gonna get some gifts, maybe. I'm not gonna get any game-related things, I think. I'm probably just gonna get clothes, because I really want some really nice collar shirts. I will show you a collar shirt I have. It's the one that I wore originally from my first live stream. I really like that one, so I'm gonna try and buy some. Hopefully my family will get it for me. That would be really awesome. Game-related things, not so much. I might get one game, but I don't know what that would be. I'm just assuming I might get one game. I might get something for my room too, to make it a little bit brighter and things like that. I might get a plant, a mini plant. Fake plant, but it would look pretty nice. Hello. Do I know you? Yes, this is my normal hair. One good thing is that recently I changed things up. Everyone was calling me emo. That wasn't the reason why I changed it up. It was because my dad and mom didn't really like my hair when it was all messy. So I styled it up a little bit. That's a little bit too much, but I've styled it up. And it doesn't look good. I mean, I do like it when my hair is messy, but this is actually really good too. It's not bad. It's so hard to figure out your hair when your hair is straight. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I hate straight hair. I would really, really, really like curly, or not curly necessarily, but wavy hair, because it's just so hard to style this stuff and like get it right. Because whenever I shower, then my hair looks all poofy and it doesn't look anything like this. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So good thing is by the end of the day, it looks a lot better. Or tomorrow. As the day goes by, though, it looks better. So, you know, I think someone asked me if I'm over 18. No, I'm under 18. I'm 17. About to reach my adult year, so I'm going to be really happy for that. Also kind of sad. But by that time, I will be in my senior year of high school, so looking good, guys. We're moving forward with this. I am getting older, though, so that's not the best thing. I would much rather have my life move slower so I can, you know, perceive things a little bit slower. The world is moving too fast for me. Anyway, let's get to the topic, because I was going to talk about that. What was I talking about earlier? Christmas? I don't think I have much more to say about that. I just want to say next year I'm going to try a little bit harder and put videos out. You know, I've had 3 videos that I'm still editing from like 3 or 4 months ago. Like, oh my gosh, I need to get those ones out now. Like, they need to get out so I can just clear some space and make new videos. It's so funny how like some of my videos that I put out are still old. They're so old. I need to put them out. I just don't have the brain power. I don't have the power to do that right now. I'm just like a sloth. I'm too tired. Friday and Saturday are my good days. Sunday I become a sloth. That's me, you know. Saturday I would be a sloth, but then I'm not, because I have to go to church, so I have to be active. But Sunday is my sloth day, okay? So that's why I didn't plan on doing this today. I was going to do it on Friday, but now I gotta do this. So let's get to the topic now, because I'm ready. I hope you guys are too. Any more questions? Would you guys like to ask me some things before I go? If not, I'm going to get to it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should talk about first. No? Alright. Okay. So you guys probably saw the title. Hope versus realism. Now, realism, I don't really know if this is the right word to use because I know realistic is the word I'm looking for, but realism is like an art form. So it's quite interesting. I don't know if realism is a natural like word to describe being realistic. I think it is. So let's I'll get to it. So basically, I want to talk about this because it's a lot about dreams. I hear a lot in songs that I listen to, especially one. If you guys ever listened to Thunder by Imagine Dragons before, and yes, I am an Imagine Dragons huge fan. I'm not too, I'm not too um, big about songs that are like that. Everyone, Imagine Dragons critics say are overrated. Like I don't like Believer very much. I don't like Thunder very much. And I don't like Whatever It Takes too much. I would much rather like songs like Not Today, Walking the Wire, I Bet My Life, those kind of songs, rather than the ones that are played over and over again on the radio. I don't like those. I don't know why the radio chooses those ones in particular. It's just because they're so anthemic. I think they're just like so powerful. The message is more powerful, or at least you would think it's more powerful and much easier to see than songs like Walking the Wire, where the meaning is kind of held back. So anyway, though, so Thunder, you will hear that it says at the middle or the bridge, I think says never give up on your dreams, which its meaning is so powerful, but you have to realize that there's something in it that doesn't always click. Like for me, I heard that first and I was like, oh my gosh, well, first off, I like the way it integrates into the song, but when you keep on hearing this over and over again, never give up on your dreams, you got to be a little bit realistic about it. And here's what I mean. If you plan on becoming an artist, that's very difficult. Okay, it's a very difficult journey because it's one of those jobs where you're really good at it or you're not, and you can't determine if you're really good at it in a way. It's hard for you to say, all right, I'm going to draw this, and I'm really good at drawing. The public, the masses, they're going to love it. No, because a lot of people who become painters, they think their art is good, but the public just don't buy it, right? And then what happens to them? Well, they don't have money. They don't have the funds to buy new equipment. They don't have the funds to provide for themselves or their families. Scott Fitzgerald, for an example, he wasn't an artist, but he wasn't a painter artist, but he was an artist in literature. He wrote The Great Gatsby. You will know him mainly for that book. He wrote some other books too that were pretty good. I think one of them was called Golden Girl or something, but that's like completely okay too, and I'll get to that too, so I'm very glad that you mentioned that. But anyway, so Scott Fitzgerald, he was a writer back in the 1920s. If you guys don't know, the 1920s is called the Roaring Twenties because of prosperity. There was so much wealth accumulated because of there was like new inventions such as Henry Ford's assembly line. It raised production. There were also economic strategies that industries used, or not industries but companies used to promote their products, and commercials too, propaganda. All those things were kind of coming together. And when World War I comes to a close, you can see that there starts to be a depression, but then it gets back to an economic boost. I mean, whenever you end a war, there's usually an economic boost. It's just a trend. And now, for certain countries in World War I who lost, they don't really get that economic boost. They have to pay for the debts for the whole war. Like Germany, for example. They had to pay a lot of reparations. Thank goodness for the US and France and England. We were willing to help them out a little bit. Give them a little bit of nudge and, in the right direction. Now, unfortunately, you can see that anger led to World War II, but, the point is that Scott Fitzgerald, he was living in that era. So it was a lot of prosperity. And one of the examples of him living in prosperity was when he wrote The Great Gatsby. It was such a hit. It sold out. It was a best-selling book. I don't know if you can call it this, but it was like a blockbuster. It boomed. It grew and bloomed. So, boomed and bloomed. So, he accumulated so much wealth from that. And then his wife, Zelda, not Legend of Zelda, but Zelda Fitzgerald, they started drinking a lot because it's, it's like, celebration. They start living, buying a whole lot of fancy stuff. They spend it lavishly. They were living happy lives with their children. And then Fitzgerald started running out of money. Why? You can't rely on one book. You gotta start writing new ones, right? Draft some new ideas. And he did. He did. He was doing that in the meantime. Fitzgerald was smart about this. He was like, okay, so I just won the lottery basically, but I gotta continue this. If I want to continue this for not only myself, but my children and my grandchildren, my legacy to continue, I gotta accumulate some more wealth from other books, get other sources. I can't just rely on this one source. So what did he do? He started writing new books. And he even tried to write plays. He wrote one called, I think, The Vegetable or something. I don't think it was about vegetables, but it's a symbolism. But they were not hits, okay? I mean, yeah, some of the ones that he published, they were good, okay? And they were accumulating wealth, just like The Great Gatsby, but not as much as The Great Gatsby. His fame started going down. There were critics that kept on saying, hey, Fitzgerald, he's saying the same things. His plots are very similar to The Great Gatsby. They're like, okay, Great Gatsby was good, applause to him, but his new ones, they're like the same. They have the same plot, they have the same kind of characters. It's kind of about him. He's not writing anything new. So Fitzgerald started getting upset that he's not getting this much wealth, so he started writing new things, but he wasn't good at what he was writing. He was only good at sticking to one thing. That's the thing. Fitzgerald can be, by critics, he can be categorized as a one-trick pony. That's the hard thing about it. And that's the hard thing about writing. When you stick to one genre, then you start becoming only good at that one genre. You want to expand early on so you know what to experiment with. Fitzgerald only experimented with one genre, and that was tragedy. Great Gatsby is a tragedy, okay? And I don't want to talk about what Great Gatsby is about. I mean, it's about the 1920s and kind of symbolizes Fitzgerald's life in general, but there's also more to it that I kind of don't want to go into because I want to move on with my point. But point is that The Great Gatsby was a bestseller, but then Fitzgerald couldn't accumulate nearly as much wealth. Guess what happened to him when he grew older? He was living on the streets. Okay, he became what you would call a vagabond. He moved around, but he didn't really have a place to go. Kind of like a nomad, you know? He didn't have a place to go. It's just he was riding on the streets. He was trying to make some money, and he made some money every here and there, but then it's not enough to support himself and his family. I'm pretty sure that Zelda his wife had an affair because of his lack of wealth. Zelda was what you would consider a flapper. And that is the term used for the women revolution back in the 1920s when women started acting differently from the normal, I guess housewife. They started acting independent. It had new dances. The Charleston is a good example. New ways of talking, new hairstyles. They had a bob haircut, and then the way they dressed was completely different. It's more man-like, more masculine. Because women are known for being, back then, before the 1920s, they were known for being, very feminine. They kind of hide behind their husbands. But after the 1920s, the new deal was that, hey, no, we don't need men. We can do this on our own, right? We can do our own thing. We can be just as flamboyant and just as equal. That was what the flapper was about, basically. And in simple terms, so Zelda was kind of like that, but she was also sort of a gold digger in a way, that she kind of relied on her husband's wealth, and she started spending lavishly, and then after that she said, I'm going to go back to being a flapper. I don't need you anymore. I'll go find some other wealthy man. Scott became really upset. Scott Fitzgerald, that is. He became upset, and now then he became depressed, and then I think he died of an illness or something. But the point is that you can't always rely on hope. There has to be execution involved, and there has to be something kind of realistic in it. If Fitzgerald, imagine this instead. Fitzgerald, he wrote on his free time. Yeah, it's unfortunate. He wrote on his free time, but he worked in the industries. He worked for Henry Ford's motor company. So now he says, okay, so I'm gonna write my books. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna, on my free time, I'm gonna spend it doing this. I'm gonna spend it on doing what I want. I'll still publish as a normal art author, and I'll make some money from it. But if it doesn't go well, I have a stable job at Ford Motors, right? Because the only way that that job would go wrong is if two things. One, Ford Motors shut down, or two, they lay him off, right? He gets laid off and he has to go find another job. But industry is a much more stable job than a job that requires very, very, very intricate skill. And it's subjective skill too. You know, everything you see in art is subjective. You know, not everyone's gonna love The Great Gatsby, which is why there were a lot of critics that didn't like it. Or not everyone's gonna understand, cubism in art. No, everyone's gonna understand masquerades. Like, who likes seeing people in bird masks? I mean, like, really? You see what I mean? Like, it's subjective. And personally, I don't like masquerades. I mean, I don't get what that's all about. I appreciate that it's an art form. Exactly. Good. Okay, always have a plan B. Always have a plan B. And not just have a plan B as in if plan A doesn't go right, it went in the wrong direction, I'm going to start plan B. No, start plan A and plan B simultaneously. So you know that if one goes wrong, you always have the other one that's currently in progress that's always making you more money. You know, if writing is not going to be my steady flow, I already got a steady flow back here. I got Ford, my man. He's over there working hard, and I am making money from it, from working for him. The point is that you have a plan B. You're always staying in the game. If you're an artist, it's very hard to stay in that game. If you start making bad art, right, and people don't like it, you're out. It's just you're in or out. But if you have a stable job, and nowadays, you know, people don't really work in the industry because machines are taking over in AI. Instead, work at like a let's see, what's a good example? If you work at a space company, right? You work at a space company or a law firm, it's gonna be very hard to get rid of you. You know, it's much harder to get rid of you. Excuse me, much harder to get rid of you there than to get rid of you in art forms, acting, painting, writing books. The good thing about this is that you kind of can't be gotten rid of, though. If you think about art, you're doing this at home, right? You're writing, you're typing your books at home, or you're drawing at home. You don't have an employer. You don't have someone who can say, hey, I don't like this guy, I'm going to get rid of him. You don't have that, but you also don't have the stability of a company. And stability of a company is more important than just having someone a boss who you might not like always. And to be honest, most people don't like their bosses. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, you know, you're always gonna have some sort of tension with your boss, whether it's at the start or later on. I'll give you an example. In The Shining, right? If you ever read The Shining by Stephen King before, Jack Nicholson, or I can't remember what his name was in the actual book. I think it was Jack. But he didn't like his boss because his boss, Mr. Ullman was his name, he was a really, really arrogant man. And he showed that he obviously didn't like Jack. So there's a difference. You know, you're not always going to like your boss, but it's better to work that way than to work on your own as an author or a painter or any form of art because it's really hard, okay? So when you say you're going to try and achieve your dreams, you know, or never give up on your dreams, don't always believe that that is the case, that it's always going to go well. You know, you get motivated, but don't believe that that motivation is always going to stay. You are going to always have up and downs. In fact, that happens in whatever job you choose. In whatever job you choose, you will always have up and downs. My mom has up and downs at her workplace, and my dad does too. But if you choose a stable job, a stable workplace where you know that you can rely on others, your up and downs are not going to be that big. You might have big ups, but you're not going to have big downs. You might have small downs, you know, problems with other employees, problems with your boss, problems with the people that you are helping with. Imagine your customer service, right? You know, you're not always going to like the customers, but your downs, you're not going to get, you know, you're not going to become homeless just, you know, off the bat. No, it's going to happen slowly. If you do become homeless, and I'm not saying that you can't become homeless with a stable job, but it's a lot harder for that to happen. The percentage of that happening is a lot lower. So just be careful about what you hear. You know, you hear all these good things about, you know, following your dreams, but it's not always true that they will always end out the way you want them to. In fact, I believe that nothing ever goes the way you want it to. It's very hard for you to find something that goes exactly the way you want it to. For example, when I get my Christmas presents, right? I ask for a certain thing, and there's always a chance that one, my thing's never picked, because let's say I give my I think it's my aunts who do the Christmas shopping for me, so I choose 5 things, right? It's not always true, it's not always going to happen that I'm going to get all those 5 things. They might drop 1 thing or 2 things, and that is not because they don't love me, but because some of those things might not be available, or a lot of my things are expensive, so we gotta choose only a couple. That is just the point of how nothing always goes the way you want it to. Not everything can be perfect. I'm trying to think of another example. But yeah. Or you can think about it as I guess this is something that I'm more familiar with in a way, in a funny way. Think about dating. Think about dating, right? When you date someone, or you're looking for someone, you are always going to look for the best traits. Traits that are similar to yourself, and traits that are just virtuously, ethically good, right? You're going to find someone, you want to find someone who has the same ethics as you, whether it's in your religion or whether it's just based on your worldly view. That you personally think that if you see a beggar on the street, you're not going to, spit at them. You're not going to harass them. You're going to either give them money or you're going to acknowledge that they're there. If the person you're dating does not do that and would rather harass that person or make fun of that homeless man, you might not want to date them because they don't have the same virtues as you. And that's just a part of dating. It's just a part of of who you are as a person. If you are willing to accept that person is going to be willing to do those bad things and you would still be inclined to date that person, there might be something wrong with what your filter is. So if you have the right filters, you should try and find someone who is just like you. But even if you do find someone who is similar to you in those ways, there's going to be some differences. You can't make your partner perfect. You can only try and correct the main things, the biggest problems. And it's not even correcting, it's negotiating. You can't correct it. It's your partner that has to try and correct it too. Your partner has to be the one who does the correcting. It's basically like this. You press a red button that says, hey, I would like you to correct this because I think that this is ethically wrong. Then the partner says, okay, I saw that message. Now I can either choose to press the button, the green button that says, oh, I'm going to correct this, or the red button that says, declined, I will not correct this, you're going to have to live with that. Or you can choose maybe the yellow button, whatever color you want to associate this with, the yellow button that says, hey, I will correct some of it, I will negotiate how I deal with things, but I won't entirely correct it. I will have a little bit of wiggle room for us to talk about. And that's how life works. Really, if you're trying simplifying the way that the brain works as you come up with those, as we have relationships and there are arguments or conflict, that's how really it works. It's not you who can change your partner. It's the partner who can change herself or himself, right? So when you're dating, you have to consider that. You have to consider that not everything can be changed. Now, getting back to point of hope versus realism, is that this. You have to be realistic. Not everything can be changed. You can change a lot of things, but you can't change everything. Not everything is going to go the way you want it to. You can hope that things are going to go the right way, but you can't confirm that they're going to go the right way unless they do, So it's very difficult. It's very difficult to live life in a perfect way. There is no such thing as a perfect life. That's the way I would take my view with the fact that there is no perfect life. You can't live a perfect life. It feels wrong to be living a perfect life. If you see an old couple that still hold hands and they're happy and they talk and they're walking together, going to places, or like you see them at Disneyland or something like that. That's very difficult to find nowadays. Very difficult to find people who still love each other like that. So when you do, you know you found your perfect person, and you're living the closest thing to a perfect life. That is the closest thing. So yeah, that's just my view on that. Now, I saw in the comments earlier, I haven't really addressed it, and I apologize for that, but I saw you guys were talking about how you haven't even planned your future yet. And I want to tell you guys right now that it's completely okay? And this is coming from a person who has been over worrying about their future. And there are two, obviously, on the spectrum, there would be three different people. One person that is the part that is in the middle where you care just enough. The left is that you don't care at all, and the right is that you care way too much. I'm on the right, you guys are probably on the left. And here's what I think about that. It's completely okay for you to not have thought about your future, okay? Look, you guys are probably like, I don't know how old you guys would be. There is going to be an age in which you should start thinking about your future. I would say the age of 16, think about your future a little bit. You don't have to go into, after college, I'm going to go into, I don't know, med school, or I'm going to have a wife and I'm going to have kids at this age. You don't have to do that then. But by the time you're like maybe 18, now you're going to start going to college soon. You got to get your college applications in. You want to start asking yourself those questions. What do I want to major in? What is this for me? What does it mean for me? What does this occupation mean to me? What does this occupation mean to me? Am I really passionate about that occupation? Am I really passionate about this career or this field? If you want to go into the medical field or you want to go into the law field, it's kind of, you have to think about those things, and it's the inevitable, okay? Unless you plan on not working, not joining the labor force, then you don't have a plan. But you have to think about that. Yeah, and that's completely okay if you don't think about that either. There are people who choose that they want to live their life by themselves. They want to live as a single man or woman. Or you could say you want to live with your family, which in that case you don't have to have a wife and kids, but you're living with someone else, but you're not dating. And that's okay if you don't think about those things, That is it's moving early if you think about having a wife or kids. So it's, it is what it is, It's your life. You choose how you want to plan it, how early you want to do certain things, how late you want to do certain things. But yes, it's completely up to you. I guess I could share with you guys my personal journey, or at least what I plan on happening. I want to see if this looks good. Ooh, it doesn't look too bad. I could wear my hoodie like this. And I was just thinking about it. Anyway, because my hoodie is actually kind of big. Most of my time, my hood of the hoodie is really small and thin, so it doesn't really work well. But I could actually put my hoodie up like this, and it still looks pretty good. Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what I've been talking about for a while now. Hope versus realism. Sometimes the career that you choose isn't very easy, okay? The medical career is very difficult. It is very, very difficult. And it takes a long time, which is why I have a problem with the medical field. Personally, I'll share with you my journey right now. I want to become a doctor. I want to get into something related to medicine, whether it is a veterinarian, which was my original idea, but my parents convinced me that I might want to consider something like primary care physician, because that is working with humans rather than animals. And the reason why I might want to do that more is because the pay is good. It's better than veterinarian. So this is my plan, is that I'm going to go into medical school, and I'm going to, first off, my years at college, I'm going to reduce that with my AP classes, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to, go into medical school. Oh, that's nice. It's really nice to hear that your older brother's a doctor. hopefully he's doing well. Hopefully he likes his job. The problem I have with medical school is that it takes so long. Okay? Where I am right now, when I'm 18, I would have finished college. No, sorry, excuse me, not college. I would have finished high school. Okay? So, that, when I'm 18, I would have finished high school. Then 4 more years, that would be through college. I'm going to be 22 by then. And then another 3 to 7 years in residency. Would I even consider? I haven't even considered medical school yet. So 4 years, okay, 18, 4 more years at, 10 years. Yeah, 4 years at college. So that's going to be like 22 by that time. Then I would go into a medical school. That could be some more time. 3 years or something like that, 3 or 4. And then residency. So that's going to be more time. And if I want to get a license, well, I have to get a license, but if I want to become a more experienced doctor, then I have to work even more. By that time, I'm going to be like in my early 30s. And think about where my life stands. Where will I be in my social life? Am I going to be living with my parents? Am I going to have a girlfriend by then? Am I going to have a wife by then or kids? It's kind of hard to think about that. Personally, when it comes to relationships, I am very bad at it. I'm still struggling. I've never actually had a girlfriend before. I've always been kind of to myself, solitary. But I have also, I don't know, I was going to go with that. Yeah, that's basically all. I do hope that I can get into a relationship at some point in my life. I don't plan on living alone. I do plan on having a wife and kids in the very future, wherever that may stand. I hope it will be early because hopefully then my kids can watch me, I can watch them grow. But then, again, that's really early to think about. So, it's hard to think about it. But the one thing you should really consider is thank you so much. But what you should really consider is if your career is realistic or not, and if it is hard or easy. Think about those things especially, and then you can consider things like what I'm thinking of by now. I've already considered in my heart my career is easy or hard. It's hard, but can I do it? I think I can. So I'll go through with that, and then we'll see how that goes. And I'll share with you guys my story as it continues going on. But going back to what you said about me looking like a nice guy, I think that, I would say that I'm a very shy person. I'm not the most physically appealing. I'm not saying that I'm not, good looking. I'm saying that I'm not. When I'm walking around campus and stuff like that, from class to class, or when I'm in my classes, I always have a very serious look. It's just my natural look. Like when I'm looking at right now, I look very serious like this most of the time. I only look happy like this when someone's made a joke, or I make a joke, or I'm just laughing with my buds. Otherwise, I'm usually like this. So I'm not naturally looking like I could be, I guess, compatible for a relationship. And also, I have a reputation because I guess a lot of people already know me by now because I'm a junior. So, naturally, a lot of people have already met me before. So I guess a lot of people know that I'm not first of all, I'm really shy. I'm an introvert. So a lot of the friends I hang out with are nerds, and that's but I like that though. I like the friends I have. Unfortunately, and also I've taken a lot of AP and honors classes before, so that there's a price to pay with that. I've kind of divided myself because it's very hard. I feel like I could be actually a good person if I was in a relationship. I feel like I'm not the type of person who would just be in a relationship for a couple of months, break up because I didn't like the way things were going, or because we got into an argument or something like that. I feel like if I ever get into an argument, I would really, really try. I'd be the one to apologize probably because that's what I'm doing with my family right now. Honestly, I don't try. I'm not trying my best not to be hard-headed. Because it's just good in the future too when you work with other people like employees and your boss. You don't want to sound hard-headed to your boss. That'd be really bad. You could get frictional unemployment. But yeah, I just feel like if I was in a relationship, I could be a really good person, good partner, I guess. But yeah, that's just the way I think of it. I never really had a chance to try it out. I guess relationships can be seen as experiments. You learn to take away things from them as you go on, but I don't want to be in too many relationships. Like I'm not saying relationships at once, but I'm saying like relationships like I get into a relationship, I break up, I get into another one, I break up, I get into another one, I break up. That's not the way I want to do things at all. I stick when I get my very first relationship, whoever that might be, I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna try my hardest to make it work. If it doesn't work, then what else can I do? Then it's not my fault anymore. But if I get into a relationship, I'm really gonna try. I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna lock in. But yeah, I'm not gonna get that chance though probably for the next couple of years because it's not easy. You never know though. In college, I'll leave a new community and start developing getting that same that same reputation, being an introvert. I'll hang out with my nerd friends. I actually wonder if any of my friends will go to the same university as me. Anyway, though, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'm sorry that this came out a little late, and I did go a lot over time than I thought I would. But yeah, I had a lot of fun today talking to you guys, and I'm glad that you guys came over to check things out in this live stream today. I did a different live stream last week, actually, that I forgot to post. So it's gone. It's gone. I might post it, but it has 0 views. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Do consider what I said about this, and maybe you'll apply it to your career, whatever that might be. Think about what you're doing with your life. Think about where you stand, what you should do, what you feel like you should do. Don't always let other people, influence what you decide your career to be. I'm not saying influence is bad. Accept it, absorb it, but also put your own feedback in it. Think about what you personally want because this is your career, this is your life, okay? So think about your life, prioritize that. If you think that other people are right, then go ahead and believe them. But if you think that there's wrong in it, do what you want. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck in your future careers, guys. I'll see you next week on time this time, probably Friday. Bye-bye.